Asset Entities is merging with Strive Asset Management, guys. This could be a game changer for Bitcoin and for some of you guys out there that like to invest in some of these Bitcoin treasury companies like Strategy, Mara, Riot Blockchain, or 21. Guys, this could be a potential game changer, and I really think that this is one of the unique opportunities to make alpha returns. That means outperform the market greatly with this stock. So we're going to do a deep dive. I got my green tea here ready. Really interesting story around this Strive Asset Management. We're going to do a deep dive here and talk about it. We're going to go through who's behind it. We're going to go through the fundamentals, the technical analysis, and then I'm going to kind of give you guys my opinion. Now, full disclosure, I am a shareholder of ASST. I did pick up 100 shares in my retirement account at an average purchase price of $8.20. Now, obviously, I wish I had gotten in sooner, but hopefully when you guys watch the end of this video, you'll kind of see that this is very, very early innings for this company. So let's get right into it. So first off, let's just talk about actually what went down in case you guys haven't noticed. So really interesting. So over at the Strategy World 2025 conference, the CEO of Strive Asset Management, Matt Cole, he announced this new company that's going to be formed, and it leaked during the conference, and that's one of the reasons why the stock just started picking up on ridiculous volume. Okay, when the news was leaked during the conference, okay, the first day of volume was 315 million shares traded. So the stock went from, it opened at $1.73, closed at $3.39. And then on the second day, which is the day I've got in, opened at $5.55, closed at, it closed at $7.69. So two massive green days. This is the second green day for this stock. And we're going to tell you guys why. I'm going to tell you guys why it went up. So here we are, the article on CoinDesk. Strive Asset Management to go public, launch Bitcoin treasury strategy with merger. The company combines to stockpile Bitcoin for tax-free equity swaps to accredited holders. Okay. Now, interesting enough, one of the co-founders of Strive Enterprises, which is going to be a separate company, but was founded and is being funded by Vivek Ramaswamy, guys. He's one of the Republican. He ran for president. He was a Republican. Obviously, Trump won, but he was Republican and he ran for president, and he's a billionaire. So this company is actually backed by several billionaires. More on that later. So quick details. Strive will merge with ASST stock to form a public Bitcoin treasury company. Plans to raise up to $1 billion, accumulate Bitcoin through equity and debt. And Strive will offer stock for Bitcoin swaps using tax-free Section 351 structure for accredited investors. So why is this interesting? Well, this is interesting to me because we haven't really seen any asset management firms completely embrace the Bitcoin strategy and the Bitcoin standard that Michael Saylor set forth. So why is this new? Well, we obviously know that BlackRock and ARK21 and Fidelity offering the Bitcoin ETFs. But these asset managers manage trillions of dollars, guys. They're still fiat companies. Just because they offer a Bitcoin ETF doesn't mean they're on the Bitcoin standard. This is the first asset manager that is going to join the Bitcoin standard. So we know Michael Saylor revolutionized Wall Street when he introduced Bitcoin as a way to bolster your balance sheet. And now this company is the first asset manager to do it. Very interesting and very revolutionary. So we're going to talk a little bit about this more. And one of the interesting things about this company is that they're giving Bitcoiners a way to exchange their Bitcoin tax-free in turn for stock. So as you guys know, you're supposed to pay capital gains taxes on all crypto gains, especially if you guys live in the United States. So this is kind of a very interesting way that it says planned equity for Bitcoin swap with certain accredited investors. So this is revolutionary. So this doesn't really apply to some of you guys out there that have like $1,000 in Bitcoin, $5,000, $10,000 in Bitcoin. It doesn't really apply to you. But there are some Bitcoiners out there holding millions and millions of dollars in gains, and they're just sitting on their stash. They're afraid to sell because they don't want to pay capital gains taxes. This company will help this specific the specific audience that is sitting on big gains. I remember there was a previous story about a Bitcoiner who made like $3 million in Bitcoin, and he didn't pay his taxes, and he ended up, getting a 2-year prison sentence. So this company is kind of providing a solution to that certain niche, of, high net worth Bitcoiners that don't want to pay taxes and they don't want to sell their stack. They can actually trade in their stack for equity shares and kind of avoid paying taxes. So this is revolutionary, and this is another innovation in the Bitcoin space. So the company is relatively new. Okay, so we'll take a look at it. Strive, founded in 2022, and it's backed by some pretty big backers, guys. So they have a few products out there. They've got 401 products, a couple of wealth management, a couple of ETFs. But let's talk about who's actually backing this company. Very interesting here. So this press release was released to Strive in last year in July 2024. Take a look here. Very interesting. So if we look here, it says Strive. Let's blow this up a little bit. Okay. It says Strive was co-founded by Vivek Ramaswamy with the goal of restoring shareholder primacy in the capital markets. Seed investors include Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. Wow. Okay, guys, to give you a quick reference, Peter Thiel is one of the co-founders of PayPal along with Elon Musk. Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is well known as a very infamous investor in the capital markets. Okay. Cantor Fitzgerald. So Cantor Fitzgerald, once again, connected to Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary appointee via Donald Trump. This company is being backed by some pretty smart investors, guys. And the whole goal of it, I think, is to kind of be like the BlackRock of Bitcoin. Okay. I really believe that the company's already, the asset management firm, the successor Strive, back then they said they're holding around 1.2 billion assets. They're currently over 2 billion in assets. This company could really disrupt asset management in the United States, simply because there's just simply no asset management company that is on the Bitcoin standard. So we're thinking of State Street, BlackRock, Fidelity, okay, Vanguard. All of these companies manage trillions of dollars, but they're on the fiat standard. So here's this small new company coming in that's going to change that, okay? So now let's take a look at the investor presentation. So the investor presentation, again, it's available on their website, strive.com. Nice domain name. That's another good thing. Nice short domain name. I like that. So let's just go over some of the key points. So of course, I mentioned they're offering tax-free Section 351 exchange for Bitcoin. They're going to be acquiring cash at a discount, okay, to acquire Bitcoin. Once again, like I said, they're looking to acquire public companies in order to get more Bitcoin, okay? They're also going to probably be copying something out of the Michael Saylor strategy playbook, right? Offering, fixed income products like Strategy's doing with STRF and STRK. And of course, selling shares to the markets to acquire Bitcoin. Okay. And as you can see here, it says they've expanded their shelf to over $1 billion for accumulation of equity and debt offerings. This is working. Okay. Strategy stock is up over 3,000% over the last 5 years by doing this exact same thing. This works. And it was only a matter of time until more companies came into the frame and started selling shares and selling equity to acquire Bitcoin. Now, another big positive is that this is a founder-led company, okay? One of the reasons why I think a lot of the Bitcoin mining stocks haven't really outperformed companies like Strategy is because Strategy for years was founder-led, okay? Michael Saylor founded Strategy. Even though he's executive chairman, he's still leading it. So over time, usually founder-led companies outperform non-founder-led companies, okay? Just simply because people are investing in the founder. It's his business. He cares about it. So good news is that Strive is founder-led by Matt Cole. He is the CEO. He's a longtime Bitcoin investor and advocate, and he's looking to do something different. So I think that's a big plus that this company is being led by its founder. I just wanted to put that in there because I know some of you guys out there, you only invest in founder-led companies simply because you're investing, in the founder's dream and things like that. You're not just going to invest in a random company like Apple who's not founder led. Okay, so like I said, I believe they're trying to become the BlackRock of Bitcoin. You can see how they're basically disrupting the capital markets. Where BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street are doing, these are all fiat companies. It really looks like they're trying to do the same thing, but with Bitcoin. So there's a lot of Bitcoiners out here who don't invest in the stock market. You don't use asset managers. This company can bridge that gap. For some of you guys out there, you don't want to mess around with Fidelity. You don't want to mess around with Robinhood. You don't want to mess around with State Street. This is a company that is a Bitcoiner, is run by Bitcoiners just like you. So this is a huge need, I think, on Wall Street to offer asset management specifically for Bitcoiners, because as Bitcoiners, if you guys watching this have Bitcoin, we have specific problems, okay? Our problems are a little bit different from people that have their money in Apple stock or Tesla stock or whatever else they're investing in. And there really hasn't been a company that solved our needs. And it looks like Strive is going to bridge that gap, provide asset management services strictly for Bitcoiners, okay? And of course, a lot of companies are, following the same playbook, adopting the Bitcoin standard. So now let's talk a little bit about actually how they're going to do this. So I would assume they're basically going to be copying the Michael Saylor strategy, using fixed income, okay, to fixed income products and selling shares to get Bitcoin. And that pretty much looks like what they're going to be doing as well. So, this strategy has really, really worked, okay, for a company like Strategy. It's been the playbook. It's been the alpha way to generate and outperform the returns. As Saylor said, you can't outperform the S&P. You can't do what the Mag 7's doing. Saylor said that like 96% of the S&P 500 companies don't outperform the Mag 7. So usually, lately, buying Bitcoin for your company has been the number one way to innovate instead of coming up with new products or hiring a bunch of employees, yada, yada, yada. So now we talked a little bit about what they're doing. Let's talk about the actual fundamentals, okay? Because this is a little bit different. You guys going to maybe get a little bit confused, so pay attention, because the way they're setting this company up, it's a little bit different from a SPAC merger, okay? SPAC merger is different. A SPAC merger is basically like what happened with CEP stock and 21 Capital. That was different. So the Cantor Fitzgerald, they had a SPAC, and it's basically a bunch of money that's being pulled together, and they're looking to acquire a company, okay? This merger is a little bit different, okay? This is an example of where there's already a publicly traded company, and then now they're just merging with Strive, and Strive is looking to basically take itself public, raise capital to buy Bitcoin. So if we take a look here, we can see that let's just kind of just look at the details here, because it's a little bit confusing. This is not a SPAC merger, so it's a little bit different. So Strive is going to own 94% of this newly formed company. And if you buy ASST stock, you're going to own about 5.8% of the new formed company. So, as an ASST shareholder, you guys purchase the stock on the stock exchange. We're going to be owning just 5%, and Strive, that means, the big money from the billionaires, right? We mentioned some of those names. Okay. Bill Ackman, Peter Thiel, Cantor Fitzgerald. Okay. These guys with the deep pockets, they're going to be holding 95% of that stock. And that's a good thing, because they wouldn't be investing their money in this company if they didn't see value in it. So once again, follow the money. And the fact that Cantor Fitzgerald is involved, that Cantor Fitzgerald is also behind the 21 Capital Jack Muller's SPAC deal. So, man, Cantor Fitzgerald, right? They're throwing a ton of money at Bitcoin. This is very bullish. So, Howard Lutnick is the Commerce Secretary. He's been appointed by Trump. He's throwing a ton of his capital, a ton of his company's capital into Bitcoin. This is very bullish. So we saw what happened. I don't know if you guys saw what happened with CEP stock. CEP stock went from $10 to almost as high as $60. We're going to bring that up real quick here. So we just compared the two. Not saying that ASST stock is going to follow the same path, but you know, just putting that out there, what happened. Okay, so if we pull up, we can take a look here. Let's just type it. Let's just go right to it. I think it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, here. So we take a look here at this is CEP, right? Cantor Fitzgerald. Okay, the stock was like $10. Ran all the way as high as $59. Resistance at 60. Okay, there's resistance at 60 or whatever. And then it settled at 30. So it did pretty much a 6x in how many days? So from the April 23rd until May 1st. So about 7 days. Stock went up 6x in 7 days. Okay. So, like I said, a lot of demand for CEP stock, okay, to get a part of Jack Muller's company. And now we're seeing something similar, I believe, with ASST. But these companies are very different, okay? They're not the same. So if we take a look at ASST, all right, we can see that this stock was trading at a much lower price. Okay, at one point it was just like 60 cents. So this company, Asset Entities, which is the company that's merging with Strive, they are basically, basically a shell of a company. Okay? They weren't really doing anything, not generating much revenues. This was a great opportunity for them to basically merge with a company that's backed by billionaires and that has a lot of upward mobility. So I know a lot of people are going to look at this technical chart and think, oh, well, you know, it's too expensive. But, you know, I think it's really important to kind of back up and look more so over the weekly, because the daily chart doesn't really reflect, I think, the potential. So we take a look back here at the weekly, we can see that on the weekly RSI, it's around 90, okay? So just going back to CEP, right? CEP was at an extremely high RSI and didn't start dumping until the weekly RSI hit 98, okay? So it was bullish for basically 2 weeks, okay? Had 2 solid green weeks, and then it sold off on the 3rd week. This is just the 2nd day for Asset Entity stock, okay? It's only been trading at a heavy volume for just 2 days. I truly believe that this company is going to do a lot of damage in the equity markets and on Wall Street because, once again, they're the first asset manager on the Bitcoin standard that's backed by billionaires. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you guys what to do, but I don't see opportunities like this come often, okay? When Strategy was the first company on Wall Street to acquire Bitcoin, that was a unique milestone. What CEP stock did, what 21 Capital is doing is not unique, okay? Sailor's already done that. But Strive, ASST, this is unique because this is the first asset manager on the Bitcoin standard, okay? Strategy is not an asset manager, okay? They're a Bitcoin allocation company. Jack Muller's 21 Capital is not an asset manager, okay? They are more of like a Bitcoin product and services company, right? They want to come out with, capital products for Bitcoiners. But this is the first asset manager, the BlackRock of Bitcoin, in my opinion, that's backed by billionaires. So I really like the upside, okay? Now, I don't exactly know how high this stock is going to go, but I do want to show you guys some unique characteristics that might want to give you a reason to think about investing. So I got in at $8.20. I only bought 100 shares, okay? I just threw $800 into this plane. I don't know where it's going to go. I bought it in my retirement. I don't need the money for 20 years. So, I'll give this time to grow. So let's take a look at some of the actual price targets that I have for ASST stock. It'll probably merge under a different ticker symbol. So, just be sure to be aware of that if you guys are buying ASST stock and then like in a week or 2 weeks or a month, whenever the merger closes and you see the ticker symbol change that it's ASST, they just merged with Strive, okay? Okay, so this is a very important thing to understand. So as we went over early in the presentation, we mentioned that the ASST shareholders will own about 5.8% of the new company. Okay, 5.8%. So what does this mean that the company is going to be valued at? Okay, means the company is basically going to be valued at, you can basically 5 to 6%, and then you need to basically multiply that number by like 19 to get the future market cap, right? Because if the shareholders are going to own about 6% of the company, that means about 94% of the stock will be owned by Strive Enterprises, which is what the billionaires want. They want that stock. So let's do some quick math. So right now, okay, ASST stock is around $110 million market cap. So basically, with some quick math, we can see that this future company is valued at about $2 billion. Okay, that's good. Well, we know that they're basically managing over $2 billion. Okay, Strive is already managing over $2 billion in capital. So right now, the company's valued at $2 billion, and they're managing over $2 billion. But remember that this is a Bitcoin standard company. Okay. And a lot of people don't understand that this stock has a lot more room to run, I believe. Why is that? Let's take a look at the float. So what is the float? The float is basically the amount of shares available that can be purchased at any time on the exchange. So the total outstanding shares are actually 13 million, but some of those shares are already owned. So right now, you've got investors from all over the United States fighting over 12 million ASST shares. Remember, guys, this is one of the same things that happened with CEP. Reason why CEP went from $10 to $60 is because the float was only 10 million shares. Okay, to give the guys perspective, there's only 21 million Bitcoin, and now you had millions of investors in America fighting over 10 million shares of CEP, and now there's only 12 million shares of CEP to fight over. So what does this mean? Well, this means is that there's just not enough shares to go around. So this is one of the reasons why the stock price is absolutely soared. And when you invest in this company, just remember, okay, CEP stock, it's basically backed by Tether and SoftBank. Fine. SoftBank is a Japanese company. Tether is one of the most innovative companies in the crypto space. But this is, I think, one of the first mergers that is clearly backed by the big bucks. We're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy, billionaire. Okay, Peter Thiel, okay, billionaire. JD Vance. JD Vance is the Vice President of the United States. Okay, all of these guys. Bill Ackman, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, Bill Ackman, right, CEO of Pershing Square Capital. Okay, there's a lot of money coming into this company with this merger. Okay, it's backed by a lot of heavy hitters. Oh, I also forgot to mention the co-founder of Palantir is invested in this company as well. I forgot to mention that. Okay, the co-founder of Palantir, and then of course Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary. This is crazy. Even the vice president's invested in this company, guys. Where do they want to take the stock? Do you think they want it to go up or not? All right then. So now I'm going to give you guys kind of my price target on ASST. Be careful with this stock because as we saw with CEP, it was really erratic. It went from $10 to $60. A lot of capital flowed into CEP before it kind of settled down, everything like that, right? It was crazy, right? I mean, the stock literally soared. So the difference between these two companies is that CEP is starting out with 42,000 Bitcoin. So that's one of the reasons why I think the price kind of stabilized at over $30 because they have a lot of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. This company's different. They're not starting off with Bitcoin, but they're going to be accumulating Bitcoin, allowing investors to exchange Bitcoin for equity shares to avoid paying taxes. There's a lot of wealthy people that are interested in that service. And of course, they're going to be following the strategy playbook as well. So I really believe it's better to kind of step back and look at the weekly chart here This is a bullish momentum. Bitcoin is up, okay? We saw what happened with CEP stock and 21 Capital, okay? Arizona and New Hampshire both passed legislation to add Bitcoin to its state treasury. This is a great opportunity, I think, to get into ASST. I'm not telling you guys what to do, but I have bought some of this for my retirement simply because I got at least 100 shares so I could trade options on this, sell cover calls on this in the future. I expect this, I don't know, it's been pretty bullish. The RSI is at 90 on the weekly chart. There's a lot of capital moving into the stock. I think it would be a mistake to assume it's going to crash right away. Just as we saw with CEP stock, I think we need to wait for that first red day to even think about taking profits. But right now it's green and it's really backed by some really powerful people, including the Vice President of the United States. So my price target, okay, like I said, guys, I don't know where ASST is going to go. But since it's backed by so many billionaires and the vice president and all of these wealthy people, I wouldn't be surprised if ASST went to $20 or more. Okay. Now, I think if it goes to $20, something like that, $20 or $30, I think that's when people will start to take profits on it. Because remember now, we're looking at the total value of the company. So as I mentioned earlier, the total market cap right now for ASST is like $110 million, which means the entire company is valued at $2 billion. So if ASST goes to about, like say 20 to 25 bucks, that means that the total company would be valued at $6 billion. So I think at the moment what they're doing, I think a $6 billion valuation would be too rosy for Strive Capital right now. Okay, they have about $2 billion in assets under management. 3 times the assets under management for the market cap is too much. So it means I would say that this stock would be too expensive at $20 to $25. But it does have more room to run, okay? Do not underestimate the impact of bullish momentum, okay? Just to go back, show you guys one more time, people that, we've seen this before, okay? This is the exact same setup that happened with CEP. The first 2 days were extremely bullish. The people that sold here, okay, on the second bullish day, sold here at $24. The stock kept running and doubled, went up twice as higher in the second week. So first 2 days, extremely green for CEP stock. Stock kept running, sold off on the second week. We could see a similar pattern here for ASST. So I'm not even thinking about selling this week. I'm going to hold until next week. Okay, see where this goes. Like I said, don't know, but I would say my price target is about $20. I think at about $20 to $25 would be a good time to get out of this stock, take some profits. Or, if you want to hold on for the long run, if you double your money, maybe you could sell half of it, keep half. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just sell half my shares and keep the rest. So I'll sell like 50 shares and keep the rest. But I wanted to trade options on this thing. That's the problem. So if I sell 50 shares, I only have 50 shares left, and I can't trade options in the future. Once the options chain comes on this, you can generate passive income through cover calls. So I'll probably end up just holding that. I don't know. Well, I'll do an update video. So yeah, that's about it. Really interesting opportunity here with ASST. My price target for this stock is $20 to $25. So I think it has about I would say 100 to 200% upside left, or a 2 to 3x. I don't know that, guys. That's just kind of my guess here. That's my prediction. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. Did you buy ASST stock? Are you interested in Strive? Where do you think this company is headed? Like I said, backed by a lot of billionaires, man. That's good news. And they're going to hold a majority of the stock as well. Now, the one risk factor would be, will the billionaires dump on us? That will be something to tell. They do own a substantial part of the stock, 94% of it. So we'll see what happens. But we do know that there will be some volatility. So just be prepared. Like I said, if you're really scared and you buy this stock and you make some gains on it, use some limit trades so you can get out of the stock, or a trailing stop so you won't lose your shirt. Trailing stop, you'll set the stop below your buy price. So if the stock tanks, you'll get out early. And a limit trade, if you buy it at like $8 and you want to sell it at 16, you don't have to stare at the screen all day long. Set your limit trades up at the price you want to get. And then if the stock hits your limit price, it'll automatically sell it. So that's all I got, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe as well. This is really interesting. It's really exciting time for Bitcoin, exciting time for some of these Bitcoin treasury companies. You know, we saw what happened with Strategies, up 30x since it announced its Bitcoin buy. What will happen to Strive Asset Management and ASST stock? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So like I said, guys, we sit here, enjoying my green tea. Seeing what this thing heads, let me know what you guys think. And that's all I got until next time, guys. Take care.